Alright guys, what's up? This is Rosario back with another video. Today we're gonna talk about nutrition and most importantly some of the most famous diets that are out there. Some of them are fad diets which are just relatively recent. Some of them are diets that have been around for centuries if not millennials. So we're just gonna go through these diets, analyzing their origins, their benefits, their potential risks, and try to understand what could potentially be declared the best diet if there is one. So we're gonna start with paleo diet. The paleo diet, which obviously stems from the term Paleolithic, and it's also referred to as the Stone Age area or the caveman diet, it comes from the idea that men should be eating foods that our ancestors were eating, especially the early humans. So we're talking about, I don't know, 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago. And most importantly, everything that came before the advent of agriculture. So this is a diet that includes heavy use of meat and fish, eggs, nuts and seeds, but also like fruits and vegetables. So basically all the foods that men were consuming when we were hunters and gatherers. The modern paleo diet mainly revolves around the idea that men should abandon heavily processed foods. So we went from agriculture to heavy industry, the modern food industry, and avoid things like legumes, things like obviously refined sugars, grains, most dairy products, and things like that. So this diet, in my opinion, it stems from a good point, which is avoiding refined products and products that um, men were not supposed to be eating because are heavily processed, but also feel like they take all products and they put them under the same umbrella, even although they don't have the same impact on men. For example, although I don't know, like whey protein, for example, yes, it is heavily processed. Because if in case you guys don't know, it comes from whey serum, which is then obviously processed. It's dehydrated, purified, filtrated, etc., until it becomes the powder that we found in tubs. But that doesn't mean that it's bad for humans. It is a great source of protein. On the other hand, something like, I don't know, plutonium. Okay, I'm gonna sound silly now, but plutonium is natural. Okay, it's not processed, but it's lethal to man. So just because it's processed, that doesn't mean that it's bad for us. So I think this diet got most things right, but also it excludes a lot of important things for humans, like I would say mainly grains, legumes, and also dairy products, which are fantastic for humans. They're a complete source of protein. They offer uh, a great source of calories and also sugar in the form of lactose. So I think it is just a bit extreme, but it's not even the most extreme on the list. So let's keep going with the next one, which is carnivore diet. All right, so the next one on the list is the carnivore diet, and also its variations in the form of the lion diet and animal based diet. There are other variations for sure, uh, but I think those are the main ones in terms of like social media appeal and being famous these days. So carnivore diet, or it's also known as zero carb diet, is basically a high protein diet which revolves around animal products like meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, etc. The carnivore diet is basically based around around the idea that men don't need to consume anything but meat because meat contains all the micronutrients and the micronutrients that we need in order not just to survive but also to thrive. Well, let's say that it was popularized in the 20th century, but especially in the 21st centuries, um, through many, I don't know, like fitness influencers, athletes, even, I don't know, like industry professionals, for example, which talk about it a lot. The main foods that it includes, as mentioned, are all types of meat, fish, eggs, also animal fats like butter, ghee, tallow, for example, and also some dairy products, especially in the form of raw milk, raw cheese, raw kefir, raw yogurt, etc. It excludes completely, at least the carnivore diet, fruit and vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, basically most plant-based foods. The carnivore diet was popularized in the early 2000s, especially the 2010s, and now the 2020s by social media people like Jordan Peterson, Paul Saladino, which adopted this routine to not just lose weight but also get rid of problems like eczema, digestive issues, and quite frankly, it worked like a charm, but mainly because they did the diet with a certain logic, which means, calculating your daily intake, going below that, so being in a calorie deficit, so you're obviously going to lose weight. Also, like by excluding almost every food group, of course, the possible cause of allergy is eliminated, so you're going to cure your, skin problems and digestive problems, but also like by eliminating everything, you're still not identifying the cause of that. So I think like by slowly reintroducing certain food group, you can identify what are you reacting bad to, so you can eat way more things, but at the same time still keeping those problems at bay. So it's not that the carnivore diet is this magic ritual that is going to magically cure all of your diseases. It's just that by eliminating everything, you eliminate all sorts of problems but also all sorts of benefits. So in a way, I think it is good because it revolves around protein and healthy fats, and normally is part of a healthy diet. So, and and a thriving lifestyle, but at the same time, like eliminating entire food groups, especially things like fruits and vegetables, which offers important micronutrients, it's potentially dangerous because you can develop deficiencies, like your fiber intake might be low, so you might end up constipated. You might end up missing some key vitamins and minerals. And I think the lion diet, which is pure meat, especially red meat, is even worse because it's even more restrictive. Animal-based diet, it is a bit better in my opinion because at least it includes things like fruits, honey and raw dairy and things like that. So it is a bit more varied and it can help, uh, not develop those deficiencies that I just mentioned, especially like calcium, which is very, very important, and it might cause things like weaknesses or I don't know, like headaches and things like that. So although the idea behind it is positive, especially again like similar to paleo diet, it's about refusing processed food. It's also potentially dangerous because it gets rid of things that are proven to be very beneficial to human. Now let's move on to the next diet, which is the vegetarian diet. Vegetarian diet is basically the practice of abstaining oneself from eating animal products. Well, not all animal products, but mainly animal meat. So red meat, poultry, fish. But also, like, there are different types of vegetarianism. Some of them include eggs, some of them include dairy, all of them include honey. So it's not as restrictive as veganism, where all animal products, even products that are not made by killing the animal itself, are taken out. But it also includes a lot of food groups, so it can potentially offer a good variety of food. Now, the vegetarian diet has very ancient origins, and it's part of many cultures, especially Indian culture, which and it's also like interconnected with religion and philosophy. The main foods included in the vegetarian diet are obviously fruit and vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, dairy products and eggs, depending on the variety. So it is a good list. All foods that are very important to humans. Um, Obviously, you're gonna exclude meat, fish, seafood, shellfish, and things like that, which are great source of lean protein. They offer a lot of micronutrients and especially minerals, like zinc, iron, etc. So it is good in a way because if you, for example, for whatever reason you don't react well to meat, it causes you digestive issues or skin problems, whatever, which is extremely rare, I think. It is a good diet for you because at the same time you get some animal products in the form of eggs and dairy, which are not just fantastic source of protein, but they also offer a lot of vitamins and minerals that are essential to humans. Vegetarianism can be adopted for many reasons. It can be just personal preference, so maybe like not liking the taste of meat, or it can be for ethical reasons because of animal cruelty, or it can even be about environmental reasons because obviously the animal industry, like the meat production industry, is extremely impactful on the environment, and it's very very hard to do it in a sustainable way. So I kind of get that. At the same time, what I feel is that although I totally respect the religious and the ethical side of it, I don't have a problem with vegetarian diet. It's just that as a human being, like in terms of our species, we are biologically designed to be able to eat meat, fish, seafood, but also like all the other products included in the vegetarian diet. So I think if you're not concerned about the ethical and you don't have restrictions based around the religious, I don't see any reason why you should exclude meat from your diet, unless again one of those aforementioned reasons. So yeah, I would say I have mixed feelings about vegetarianism, but overall, I would say it's a pretty good diet and it offers a decent variety. But yeah, it also has limitations in the form of, missing core nutrients from meat, which are very, very important to humans. So if you do it, make sure that you supplement so you don't miss any of those key nutrients. And yeah, if you're thriving on a vegetarian diet, good for you, and stick to it. Now, the next one would be the more restrictive form of vegetarian diet, which is the vegan diet. Vegan diet was born as an extreme form of vegetarianism, and it advocates the non-consumption of every type of animal product. So basically, a typical vegan diet includes things like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains, legumes, plant-based alternative to meat, especially in the form of tofu, seitan, tempeh, for example. It excludes meat and fish, eggs, poultry, seafood, shellfish, even honey, dairy. So every sort of product associated with animal, uh, either in the consumption of their meat or in the consumption of products which are directly produced by the animal, but not by killing the animal, are absolutely excluded. Now, the good thing about vegan diet is that it revolves around the concept of being ethically sustainable, environmentally sustainable, It preaches kindness and love towards animal and nature. So in that sense, it's a beautiful idea, and it works very well in that sense because it teaches people how to be, I'd say, I don't know, more kind towards what nature offers to us rather than just taking, and depriving nature of habitats and animals and things like that. So the basic concept is really nice, and I obviously I align with that. At the same time, again, to go back to the same point that I made about vegetarian diet, it is very, very restrictive. Now, this is basically the polar opposite of carnivore diet. And yeah, as in the same way, just like carnivore diet was missing important nutrients from fruit and vegetables, grains, etc. In the same way, the vegan diet is missing a lot of nutrients, not just from meat, animal meat itself, but also fish, etc., but also in animal products, like dairy, eggs, honey. So it is a diet that is even more dangerous in a way than vegetarian diet, because when not done properly, it can lead to a lot of deficiencies, especially minerals, certain type of vitamins, certain type of, I'd say in general, like micronutrients provided by animal products. So make sure that if you really want to adopt, if you're really keen on this diet and you want to cut off every sort of animal products, good on you. Just make sure that you do it properly, and make sure that and this is for every diet, by the way. Make sure that you get regularly tested to see how your blood work is, if you're missing anything, so you can make the proper adjustment to your diet, the proper supplementation. And yeah, that's it. Like every meal, just like any other diet, should revolve around a good source of protein, healthy fats, and then some sort of some form of carbohydrates for energy. So yeah, I would say for vegan diet, I appreciate the ethical aspect of it, and it preaches a beautiful message. But at the same time, I don't feel like it's the most optimal diet for people. I understand there's a lot of people who thrive on it, and I personally follow like a lot of fitness people that are vegan, and I love their content because of um, how attentive they are to the environment, to the source of their food. So yeah, if you really want to hop on vegan diet and you like it, you thrive on it, you want to stay away as far as possible from animal products because of environmental concerns, because of cruelty concerns, because of ethical concerns, it's good on you. Just make sure that you make the proper adjustment to your diet and that you get your blood work done, so you see if you're missing something in your diet, so you can make proper adjustment in terms of supplementation. And yep, that's pretty much it. That's my only concern about vegan diet. And now let's move on to the last one for this video. But I got way more diets to talk about, and this is the Mediterranean diet. Now, although there is not like a single diet that it's referred to as the healthiest diet, the Mediterranean diet is widely regarded as one of the healthiest diets that we could possibly adopt. Now, the reason is because it mainly revolves around the eating habits of Mediterranean countries such as Italy, Greece, the Mediterranean coast of Spain and France. It basically emphasizes plant-based food, particularly unprocessed cereals, legumes, uh, fruits, vegetables, also nuts and seeds. And even the consumption of wine, especially red wine, in moderate quantities, the consumption in moderation of meat and fish, dairy and eggs. It's also allowed and even encouraged. Olive oil, it's one of the most used sources of fats, and it's often associated with reducing all-cause mortality and also the risk of chronic diseases. The Mediterranean diet typically revolves around fruits and vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, fish and seafood, nuts and legumes, as I mentioned, meat and dairy in moderate quantities, but also limited processed foods and red meat. It has been associated with reduced risk in heart disease, in type 2 diabetes, in obesity, in high blood pressure. Although like it doesn't exclude any food in particular, it just teaches you the importance of moderation. And this is, I would say, the polar opposite of the typical Western diet, especially the one that we associate with the United States, where they consume heavily processed foods, especially fast food and junk food, a lot of refined sugar, things like cake, ice cream, any sorts of desserts, deep fried food, and, consuming a lot of seed oil. So this diet is the polar opposite, and it teaches you how you can pretty much eat everything as long as you are able to control yourself and moderate the diet based on your needs. The Mediterranean diet, in a way, is part of a, I don't know, like a specific type of lifestyle, and even social behaviors and also cultural values. And that's why it is associated, it's the only one that associated with a specific area of the world, is because those cultures are very similar. Southern France, southern Spain, Italy, like they all have similar culture, and also they interact in a certain way. So also social behaviors in that sense are similar. He also preaches the importance of regular physical activity. So in a way, it is not just a diet. It's not just teaches you the value of good food, but also of a good life overall. And that's why I think is one of the most important diet, because it's basically a 360-degree approach to life. All right, guys, that's it for today. Let me know if you want me to talk about other types of diets, and which one is the one you're currently on. And yeah, take care and see you soon.